Good morning, students. Our today's topic in the subject of history, O levels, is short questions. So we are going to read some very important questions as far as your history subject is concerned in O levels. So concentrate yourself. These are some of the very important questions. So this is lecture number 1. So we are going to start. The first question is, what was the East India Company? The East India Company were the merchants who got the monopoly in trade between Britain and areas east of the Africa. In 1600, they got permission from the Queen Elizabeth I and they first landed in Surat in 1608. Surat is a province, a area in the subcontinent. So they came to the subcontinent in 1608. So they first landed in Surat in 1608, but it was not till 1612 when they got permission to trade from governor of the Gujarat, Khurram. So it means they had landed in Surat in subcontinent in 1608, but started traded in 1612 with the permission of the governor of the Gujarat, Khurram, the future Shah Jahan, the future emperor of the subcontinent. The next question is, who was Robert Clive? Robert Clive, a British lord, had great military skills which enabled East India Company to defeat French with Nawab of the Bengal in 1757 and take advantage of the unsettled conditions in the India to grow British influence in India. So that was the time when the French and the Portuguese and the British were trying to capture the subcontinent. But Robert Clive was a skilled military person of the Britain who defeated the French with the help of the Nawab of the Bengal and took advantage of the unsettled conditions in India and growed their influence. After winning the Battle of the Plassey, he was made the governor of the Bengal. His opponents in British carried out various investigations on him, but he was unable to find any point of the plundering India. He caused himself to take his death in 1773 due to the addiction of the opium. So his opponents couldn't do anything against him because he was a very strong person, but he was responsible for his own death because he was the addicted of the opium. The next question is, what were the reforms of the Aurangzeb which led to his decline? Aurangzeb was the emperor of the subcontinent. So we are going to read some of his works which led to his decline. Aurangzeb was a strict ruler and staunch Muslim who implemented staunch Islamic laws on Indians, which made him very unpopular by 1668. He used to live lavish life and wasted much of the Mughal treasury. So when Mughals got bankrupt, he then implemented high taxation on the farmers. He abolished the system of the sati, which made him very unpopular among the Hindus. Sati was a tradition in which the wife was burned alive with the husband. If the husband got death during the life of the wife, so the wife got burned alive with the husband's funeral. The next is, he reintroduced the jizya tax. He even determined the length of the beard, which made the Muslims against him even, stopped singing and dancing, and banned alcohol in the courts. So these were the reforms which made him very unpopular in this subcontinent by 1668. The next question is, who was Lord Dalhousie? Lord Dalhousie was a British viceroy who implemented doctrine of the lapse, which said that if any of the rulers dies without natural heir, his land will be given to the British, or if anyone proves to be a bad ruler, his land will be taken by the British too. So that was a very clever move. That was a clever act taken by the Lord Dalhousie to take the land of the India under control British rule. The next important question is, what was the doctrine of the lapse? Doctrine of the lapse was imposed by Lord Dalhousie before the War of the Independence and became to be the great reason for the revolt of the Indians. Doctrine of the lapse, which said that if any of the ruler dies without natural heir, his land will be given to the British, or if anyone proves to be a bad ruler, his land will be taken by the British too. It was implemented in 1852. Jhansi, Stara, etc. were taken into the control. So this doctrine of the lapse actually became the main reason for the War of the Independence, because the Indians felt themselves deprived. The next question that we are going to read is the how were the Sindh and Punjab annexed by the British? In 1843, British provoked the emirs of the Sindh to attack the British presidency when they failed to take over Afghanistan. They got the chance to fight the emirs of the Sindh and took over the Sindh in 1843. So actually the British were trying to capture the Afghanistan also, but they failed in their attempt. So to cover their prestige, they provoked the emirs of the Sindh to attack the British, because Sindh was very easy to capture as compared to Afghanistan. So when the emirs of the Sindh attacked the British, they re-attacked on the Sindh and annexed the Sindh in 1843, which was a shameful act. In 1849, after the death of the Ranjit Singh, because Ranjit Singh was the strong ruler and he was actually the main hurdle in the annexation of the Punjab for the British. So after the death of the Ranjit Singh and dissolution of the Treaty of the Lahore, British got a chance to annex Punjab. The next important question that we are going to read is the who was Lord Macaulay? Lord Macaulay was the British Viceroy who made the official language of the subcontinent English, and all future education was to be in English. He implemented minutes of the education policy in 1835. He made co-education system in the institutions. So actually he was basically a educationist, and he done a lot for the education in the subcontinent, but taking in the eye of the interest of the British. So he done a lot in the field of the education, but particularly for the British. The next important question is, what was Sati? Sati was a local Hindu tradition in which the wife was to be burned alive along with her husband on the husband's funeral. It was banned by British in 1829. Hindus resented a lot. The next important question is, what was the Vernacular Press Act? So the Vernacular Press Act was introduced in 1878, which gave British the power over the local press. Example, the newspapers, and no one was allowed to write against the British in the newspapers, or he was to be arrested immediately. It was reimposed in 1905. So this was a ban on the liberty of the expression. So British passed a Vernacular Act to ban all writings against the British to be written in the newspapers. The next important question is, what was the 1858 Proclamation Act? In 1858, British government announced that a Secretary of the State was to be appointed in India. Rank of the cabinet will be given, and the Governor General was then to be called the Viceroy. So these are the very important question, and this is the lecture number 1. So a lot more lectures are still left, because we have to cover the history subject, history syllabus, as far as short questions are concerned. So in the first lecture, we have read the 10 questions from 1 to 10. So read this lecture again. I hope so this will be much more interesting and easy for you to understand in this way. So read this lecture again, learn it, understand it, and make your notes. Thank you so much.